everyone. Welcome to my channel. It's Sunday and we're hanging out with some really awesome folks here on this panel. And we're going to be talking about some really interesting things. We're going to be talking about cancel culture versus accountability culture. What's the difference? What is going on? Is it semantics? A lot of ground to cover, and we were having a really interesting discussion in the back, Artie, and I was like, save it for the stream. So we're here to entertain. But before we get started into the topic, let me introduce the panel. Thank you so much for joining me today, guys. How are you, Jayne? How are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. Happy to be here. Can't wait to get started.
This is going to be fun.
It is.
Tell everybody where they can find you.
Yeah, you can find me here on YouTube, where I post movie and television reviews and pop culture commentary. You can also follow me on Twitch, Twitter, and Instagram at Jayne Theory.
Thank you so much, Jayne. And how could you say that in the chat, not on the panel? What are you doing to me, girl? What are you doing to me?
Say the line, Bart. I didn't do it.
Yay! I feel like that every time that you say the line. How are you today, Teresa?
Hey, I'm doing fantastic. Just got done with an awesome session of Dungeons and Dragons, a most triumphant one. Ooh. Now ready to get into some more serious chat.
Yeah, we were having a lot of fun before the stream. Teresa, tell everybody where they can find you.
Well, you can find me here on YouTube at Miss Martin Muses, where I talk about what makes me laugh, makes me cry, makes me happy, makes me sad, or just really ticks me off. You can also find me at Twitter, Teresa2_Martin.
Thank you so much, Teresa. Yes, everybody subscribe to Teresa. And of course, we have a gentleman with us this evening. Steve Kenobi, how are you?
I'm quite well.
Excellent.
Quite well. Also played D&D today.
Yes,
kind of.
Steve is our dungeon master, so he was also there. Steve doesn't really have a YouTube channel anymore, but do you have anything you want to advertise or?
Don't sniff glue, and nah. I'm on Sporking's channel on Mondays talking about the Game of Thrones books with Teresa and Jayne quite often, which is a lot of fun. They're two of my favorite bastards. And, on Wednesdays, and I think we have an anniversary soon, me and Alora, OG Star Wars, talk about Star Wars comics and books and whatever.
Oh, that's awesome. Yes,
that's
OG
it.
Star Wars, yes. On her
Other than
channel.
that, I do shenanigans on Twitter. Usually piss people off by being overly sarcastic.
Yes, and you can get canceled, which is a part of this.
Which has happened. Yeah, I've been canceled on Twitter, and it was Christy's fault.
That's true. You've been canceled on Twitter several times, haven't you?
A couple of times in jail for nothing. But the time I got my my Twitter permanently suspended, I made a joke. Christy had posted a link about some 20-year-old ladies that were going to survive on a deserted island for months with nothing. And I said, in quotation marks, these skanky hoes won't survive a day without their cell phones. And that counted as inciting violence towards a protected group.
Oh.
So I've got permanently suspended. Yeah, skanky hoes are a protected group.
Apparently so. 200-watt studios for $2. Thank you so much. Says, hey, Nina, happy Sunday. Have a baklava on me. Well, thank you very much. You know how much I love baklava. Yes, thank you. I appreciate that. And also, before we get into it, I really want to thank everybody for being here. I know it's Memorial Day weekend. I just want to wish you guys all in the States. So I just wanted to wish you guys all a happy Memorial Day weekend. And, if you have military families or anything like that, thank you for your service. And anyone want to say anything about Memorial Day? Anybody have any stories they want to share or anything before we get started? Any comments?
I'd just like to pay my respects to and thank the many men and women around the world that serve their country as soldiers while putting their lives on the line. and also for their families that support them and have to sit back home wondering if one of their parents are going to come home.
Yeah.
You know, and you don't have to agree with why the soldiers are where they are, but that's not the soldiers' choice. They were sent there by someone else. So support the veterans and the soldiers and give them all the respect they deserve because they've earned it.
Well said.
You can bash the people who sent them there in the first place all you want, because
Well
they're not
said.
risking shit.
Yeah, that's also very true. Jayne, Teresa, anything to add to that?
Well, I'd just like to add to that and to emphasize, of course, that Memorial Day is a time that we very specifically mentioned the ones that did not make it home. And that it's actually a very solemn occasion. It's not really a celebration. It's very much like a funeral. It's very common here in the United States that you go to the cemeteries and place wreaths onto the fallen.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, never forgetting not just the fallen, but all of the children that lost their fathers or their mothers, or women and their husbands, men, their wives, mothers
Brothers.
and fathers who
Yeah.
lost their children, all of them, that they made the ultimate sacrifice for us.
Wow. If only certain politicians would know that.
If only all of them would actually put themselves at the front of the line.
Yeah, why don't they serve? Never mind.
Well, actually, many of them have.
Well, that's interesting, Teresa. Anything else?
Many veterans are in our. One of my representatives near me lost his eye.
Ooh.
Serving our country.
Wow.
A very famous one, Crenshaw. Yeah, Crenshaw. Yeah, and up until very recently, they were all veterans. Our presidents were. So.
Wow, that's very interesting. Jayne?
Oh, and I have nothing more to add. I mean, here, of course, in Louisiana, even funerals are celebrations. So in my family, it is a time to celebrate the lives of the soldiers in our family and those who didn't make it back, but who served and did so because they thought it was the right thing to do for themselves, for their families, and for their country. And that's ultimately what it's about, is remembering those people who put their lives on the line, oftentimes for, like I said, causes that we sometimes wonder why. Was it really worth it in the end? But it's about them, and it's not about the politics, and that's just something that I think people do need to keep in mind.
Yeah, absolutely. And Roger H., thank you so much for the $1.99 thumbs up sticker. I feel like it's not really a stream without Roger giving you that thumbs up. It's like the stamp of approval. So I really appreciate that, Roger. And we have Rita in here saying that her husband served in Vietnam. And many people are also, doing what you said, Teresa. So Andrew says, I went to my brother's grave today. I understand what you're saying, though, Jayne, because in Mexico, it's kind of like the same way. Like death is a celebration here. So I guess it's a very cultural thing, right? Like it depends on.
It's the same in Norway. If someone you don't like die, you kind of celebrate.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
That's very different, but
Crenshaw is a great exception to the rule, though. But it just seems like a lot of these people, especially the ones making decisions in favor of going to war, are often not the ones who are willing to actually ride out in the battle.
Sure.
And that's
and I think those same people forget that they also serve.
Right. Exactly.
Well, we're here to talk about cancel culture, though, so we're going to start doing that. I'm going to start by first, I guess, sharing the video that you shared with me, Jayne, because I feel like it's a little bit of an older video.
Yeah.
And it kind of brushes over what cancel culture really is and what it entails. And since it's an older one, it also kind of outlines where we were and where we're headed now. So I think it's an interesting place to start. And I just want to say again, hello to everybody in the chat. I see you all there. So thank you for joining us. Please make sure to, smash that like, share the stream, get everybody in here. And yeah, let's have a really interesting conversation about this. Okay, here we go. This dude's name is Owen Jones. He's the guy on the left, obviously. We're going to watch the short version of this video because there is a longer one, but we're going to watch the short version. Cancel culture is being used to describe everything from people disapproving of the, these kind of people to celebrities being criticized on social media. It's become a means to protect the powerful and wealthy from being scrutinized for things they say or do. Let's have a listen.
Is its term, which has become so broad and
so long.
It's
Just hear that?
Meaningless.
Yeah.
They were clear. It originated from online vernacular amongst young people to say that someone's gone down in their esteem. So people would tweet about a celebrity they were previously a fan of, that they're cancelled, and by that they meant they no longer saw them in as favourable a term. Are people being harassed for their political opinions? Of course, that's always happened. I mean, I was beaten up by a far-right extremist and his two accomplices last year. Court found it was motivated by homophobia and hatred of my left-wing political opinions. Your own team at Sky News know full well, after being repeatedly harassed by far-right extremists outside your own studios, I wasn't able to take part in discussions outside. Dawn Butler, a prominent black female politician, has partly been driven from her constituency surgery because of threats from far-right extremists. But the problem with cancel culture, and these examples never somehow seem to fit in,
Can you pause a bit?
Sure.
broader term it's become. So the Times...
He keeps focusing on the far right, though, and he has every right to do that because it happens.
Mm-hmm.
But, it happens with Ben Shapiro. There's every time he's tried to, do a speech here and there, there's violence, people getting beaten up. So it happens on both sides.
Yeah, it happens on both sides. And actually, it's interesting that you say that because the other guy, you don't see it in this clip. You would see it in the longer clip, but he brings up like people like the J.K. Rowlings and how basically she got canceled, but she was actually far left until this basically happened, where she got canceled for saying, she believes that biological women are biological women and biological males are biological males. And then she was labeled anti-trans and lost 2 book deals and basically got canceled for it. So it does happen on both sides.
Yeah, this problem isn't a right or left problem. You could argue who started it, but it's still, now it encompasses the whole political spectrum.
Yeah.
Well, I think too, he mentioned an important point was that it did start among young people, and it started more as a joke that somehow, some way became politicized. And I think that happens a lot with politicians in particular who try to use and twist aspects of social society to their political gain. And it sort of from there seemed to blow up into this thing that they can now almost campaign on. And I think that's where a lot of the extremism comes from in terms of people trying to shape this as if it is one side or the other on the political spectrum, when it never started that way. It was a purely entertainment, social, almost like satire online that has just become this much larger and dangerous thing that's become essentially weaponized by people.
Yeah, and that's the thing, because let's say you're a member of a political party, doesn't matter which. You have an opponent that keeps owning you in debates and all kinds of stuff. The person is perfect, but you just can't get an advantage on him, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you have the cancel stuff. It's very easy to just go, yeah, since we can't beat him, let's go look at, his social media or past interviews and see if we can find something that he said that could be racist or whatever it is, and demonize him, right? Because it is a weapon, like Jayne said. And even though if it was created with good intentions, keep in mind, gunpowder was created with good intentions too. It was later used as weapons. And once you've weaponized something, it doesn't go back into the bag. It never does.
No.
I mean, we know what the nuclear bomb can do, but nobody's put it away. You know, it's still there. And same with, you know, guns, what have you, right? Biological warfare. You know, countries are still researching that shit, you know, even though it can go south so fast. So it's become a weapon, and
it has become a weapon. I agree with you, and it's just what is interesting to me now, and that's why I decided to have this conversation, was because of all the stuff that's coming out, especially recently with you know, Chrissy Teigen, who is a far lefty, and stuff that's happened with her and Candace Owens, who's a far right, you know, conservative, and how she's dealing with the fallout from Chrissy Teigen being, you know, I wouldn't call her a victim, because I strongly dislike Chrissy Teigen, and I think that she's done a lot of bad things, including very questionable things that have to do with, you know, the PEDO word. So, you know, and there's a question to be had there, like what accountability really means, and when is it accountability versus cancel culture? And do we want to keep listening to this clip, or do we want to just kind of get into what happened with Chrissy Teigen and everything?
If I can have a couple of minutes, though,
Sure.
because I made some notes, because I was thinking about this, right? And it's about the differences between accountability and cancel culture, right? Accountability has to do with the equal consequence to the action and intent behind it. Cancel culture is more cruel and intense, a more cruel and intense overreaction to even a perceived crime where no defense or explanation is allowed. Most cases, it is about someone at some point having said something bad or wrong, right? The intent has become irrelevant, and the punishment does not fit the crime whatsoever. Accountability can be productive and lead to growth, while cancel culture is a single-minded goal, the destruction of a person, right? People are more willing to change if they're allowed to engage in a conversation about it. Cancel culture, by design, completely prevents that. So good people are not allowed to make mistakes anymore, right? It's not allowed.
That's very true. I feel like you can't really apologize anymore. Like there is no apology ever.
There is no redemption. No redemption is possible. And I like what Stieg said about it being the perceived, because often the person isn't even really even saying what they're being accused of. But if you get enough people to say this person said this terrible thing, and then when I go back to the source and I find that person didn't say that at all, it's the perception. And they'll even say that, well, we know what this person really meant. How can you defend yourself against what people are assuming is in your heart? You cannot.
Yeah, and if you apologize, the only thing you achieve with that now is that the mob is proven right. They now have a moral pedestal to stand on because you admitted that they are right. That's how far or how short it goes, right?
Yeah, because usually when you apologize, it's an admission of guilt. So,
but you also have this. You also have this
every right
problem.
To cancel you.
You also have this problem, though, of where the label of cancel culture is put onto things that would just be a consequence of someone's behavior. So, for example, you talked about the people committing a crime. Well, people would have committed crimes. And when that's happened and they've been quote unquote doxxed, even though they really aren't because it's public record, but you've had people come to their defense with this, oh, they're being canceled. No, they're not being canceled. They committed a crime. They got exposed for it. And they're dealing with what happens with criminals every day. The perfect example of that was last year or last summer, where we saw all of these people calling the police on Black people for no reason. Those people were then outed, and there were actually people saying what they did was dumb, it was stupid, it was wrong. But why are they losing their jobs? They're losing their jobs for the same reason a lot of criminals do, because their employers didn't want criminals on the payroll.
Yeah. And a point I always like to make is about Roman Polanski. He raped a 13-year-old girl. I'm sorry. He deserves to be canceled. That was against the law. But I think it's also very interesting the fact that Hollywood has been very forgiving of him. And when he won an Oscar 20 years ago, they all gave him a standing ovation, knowing he was completely guilty of a very heinous crime. And I think that that's part of the problem about cancel culture, is that it is unevenly applied. That that we saw this with Gina Carano and Pedro Pascal. Gina Carano actually said something very tame to compare what he did. She got fired. Nothing happened to him. He actually literally used Nazi imagery and concentration camp imagery. He did not get canceled. It's unequally applied. And so if you can't define what is deserving of being accountable. Now, what Jayne's saying is that is actually what we do here in the law. And I have a quote here from my favorite movie, A Man for All Seasons, which is talking about the law. And there was Sir Thomas More, who was the Chancellor of England, and there's William Roper, who wanted to go after someone who he perceived as being a heretic and a traitor. And he said to him, "You need to arrest this man." And Thomas More goes, he needs to have the benefit of law. And Will Roper goes, "So now you would even give the devil the benefit of law." And Thomas More goes, "Yes, what would you do? Cut a great road through the law to get after the devil?" William Roper says, "Yes, I'd cut down every law in England to do that." Thomas More says, "Oh, and when the last law was down and the devil turned round on you, where would you hide, the laws all being flat? This country is planted thick with laws from coast to coast, man's laws, not God's. And if you cut them down, do you really think you could stand upright and the winds that would blow then? Yes, I'd give the devil benefit of law for my own safety's sake." It goes back to the law. If you break the law, hell yes. If you say something that maybe hurt someone's feces or someone perceives might have hurt someone's feces, you're starting to step on the law, the First Amendment. You have a right to be an a-hole in the United States of America. You do not have the right to break the law.
Yeah, but Teresa, I get what you're saying, but the whole idea of a law, though, and I mean, I'm not talking, like, obviously there are certain laws that are great laws, but there's some laws that are meant to be broken. Like, I mean, slavery used to be a law, so that's
absolutely. But there is an orderly way to do so. Yes, there is orderly protest. There is, you petition the government. That's one of the other things. I'm not saying that all laws are just. What I'm talking about is people trying, because that's what happened in the movie. People are trying to prosecute people based on their attitudes, based on their beliefs. You cannot do that. And that's what's dangerous about cancel culture, is because we are creating a new witch hunt. We're creating a new tribunal based on thought. What they are prosecuting. They are not prosecuting people for what they're doing. They're prosecuting people based on what people are perceiving they are thinking.
And you mentioned the bias too. I mean, part of the issue with cancel culture and the superficial aspect of it is that it's entirely justified or not based on the perspective on the person engaging in it. I mean, that's how it ends up being so how we end up seeing it happening on both sides, because one side will defend it to the death if they feel it's justified, versus the other side saying, "No, I'm a victim." And there are no rules. Yep. There's no pattern. There's nothing that you can say, okay, well, this is subject to being canceled versus this, which is not. It's become a game that politicians are playing with, that on social media. Now, particularly young people still are using it, but in a much more malicious way to target celebrities for almost literally nothing in some cases. But barely anything of consequence in others, and they are creating armies basically that they then use to go after people, and not just armies in terms of supporters, but even fake accounts, which is the other aspect of this that seldom ever comes up, that a lot of the people who are pushing corporations to take action aren't even real people.
Yep. And I would also add to that, I'm very well aware of the bias, and I'm completely against that. I have always said, even people, I despise what they say. I despise what a lot of people say on Twitter and what I hear them say in the media, but I would never, ever dream of having them canceled in the definition of the word, not allowed in polite society, or to have their speech abridged. Everyone has a right to speak, even bad speech.
And I completely agree with you on that. But, a lot of people don't agree on that. A lot of people, like Candace Owens, want to fight fire with fire. And they think that, and they're kind of like, it's really weird because, and we'll get into this and what I'm talking about exactly, but it's really weird because I feel like a lot of what you guys are saying is true, but also like I think Steve first brought this up, that it is very politicized, and maybe it was Teresa, that it really does depend on which side you're leaning towards. Because when you're talking about like, Polanski or whoever else, like these are very far left leaning people that when this all went down were allowed to get away with that. And then now, it's the same thing could happen on the right, but the right, like they'll just be like, oh, it's not the same. It's just, there's no, I don't know. I feel like there's no balance there.
Yeah, and it's also unequally applied. You telling me that if they found out that Donald J. Trump had raped a 13-year-old in a hot tub, what do you think would happen? Well, I'm just saying.
He'd be in jail.
Well, but here's the thing too. Even with Donald
Roman
Trump,
Pulaski should be in jail. He fled, but the thing is that they still applauded him.
But Donald Trump was applauded up until he ran for president. And he had a lot of weird stuff that he had done in his past, and a lot of weird situations. And weird people he was around.
He never raped a 13-year-old.
I'm not saying the extreme of rape. I'm just saying he did some really weird stuff that happens in these celebrity circles.
True.
And nobody had a problem with it until he ran for president. Then he became the devil suddenly. So it's selective amnesia too in some of these cases.
Okay, I see what your point was. Yeah, and of course, what I always talk about is, I like to use hyperbole often as an example, meaning that the only time it is okay is if someone's broken the law. I go back to the law. I'm very left brain. Me and Inspector Javert would get along for the most part.
Yeah, so. See, I wouldn't get along with Javert at all because I feel like, that's the guy from Les Miserables, right?
Yeah, but let me make this clear. I'm talking about the book Javert because we only know about Jean Valjean. And the musical made him like it was all about Jean Valjean, but actually Javert really was a badass cop, and he got murderers, he got all sorts of people.
He was a badass cop, but he was only one way. He couldn't see the outside. Like he was so direct, and he was just so
I'm not trying to defend Javert. I'm just saying that for the most part he was pretty good. His problem was maybe perhaps with some of these cancel culture people, he couldn't tell the difference between, say, if you will, a mortal sin like murder and stealing a loaf of bread because someone's hungry. There has to be mercy.
Exactly.
In it all.
Exactly. I agree with you.
And we live in a society right now where there is no mercy.
You're absolutely right. We're before we go on though, I just want to thank Mr. Tickle Trunk for that $2. It's a little doggy sending, like I think it's a farting heart doggy. So thank you so much, Mr. Tickle Trunk, who is lurking. So yeah, thank you very much. But yeah, you guys brought up some great points. Let's finish this clip because it's not that
just
long.
A little side note though, Candace Owens, right? Before she became right wing, she was far left, and she had a website that used to dox people. So she's not as innocent as she claims to be. It's just that people have forgotten about what she used to do.
Oh, and that goes to what Jayne was saying about selective amnesia, right? Because it happens a lot. Like people just kind of
Yeah.
forget what what so and so did, and it happened. Like it's happened with Nicole Arbour, who we'll also be talking about, because apparently Nicole Arbour has done a lot of really crazy ass shit, but she's still got a platform, and she's fine. But here we go.
Newspaper gave examples of cancel culture last week. They included R. Kelly. R. Kelly's accused of paedophilia. Woody Allen is still a multimillionaire making films. Scarlett Johansson apparently cancelled. Probably news to her because she's still being paid millions of pounds to act. Jimmy Kimmel, a TV presenter who remains a TV presenter, getting $15 million a year to present. There's been claims that George Orwell has been cancelled because an obscure website criticised an author who died 7 decades ago. And I think that's the problem. The term cancel culture, this idea that people are being cancelled, often simply refers to very powerful and wealthy people with very big public platforms who often go on national radio and television like Toby Young to complain very publicly in their newspaper columns on air about how silenced they are, to protect them from being criticised on social media. And there are finally examples of people who I do, because often this is the other problem, this idea of free speech without consequences. When Chris Williamson, the Labour MP, who said and did many things which offended Jewish people, and he was portrayed as a Corbynite and all the rest, he was kicked out of the Labour Party. I backed that, kicking out the Labour Party. He defended himself on free speech grounds. I don't buy that. David Starkey, when he says that slavery wasn't really genocide because there's so many damn blacks, is what he said.
Damn.
Institutions, universities and publishers then cut ties with him. In a democracy, free institutions have the right to decide who they give degrees to, whose books they publish. So that's the problem. It doesn't mean anything anymore because it encompasses everyone from paedophiles or alleged paedophiles to people who are being criticised on social media because they said something many people find offensive.
And that kind of, I think, goes to your point as well, Teresa, about the whole Roman Polanski thing. Because, I mean, you're right. There's some things that, I guess here's the thing. The funny part is when I started my YouTube journey, my second video was about Jimmy Kimmel, because at the time he was about to be canceled again because he had all the stuff had come out about him being blackface or doing blackface and doing all this stuff. And I, a part of me was kind of happy because I really disliked Jimmy Kimmel. And I was like, good. Like, I hope he gets canceled. And I kind of was, happy about that. But I personally just don't watch his show. I haven't watched this show for years, but it's a personal thing. I'm not going to go out of my way to tell people not to watch his show. That's what I think is active participation. But I'm also going to laugh at it if it happens to him because I dislike him. But I feel like there's a distinguishing thing when you're practicing in cancel culture where you're actively telling people Jayne, if you're black, you should never watch Jimmy Kimmel again because, you should identify with the fact that he did blackface and you should never, ever, ever go to his restaurants or watch a show or whatever. You know what I'm saying? It's not, that would have to be a personal choice. Whereas in me using my platform to get him canceled is completely different. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I think people who have actively fed people to that cancel culture monster themselves, they get no sympathy for me when it happens to them.
Yeah.
And that certainly includes Kimmel.
Yeah. Enrolling.
But you would think that more of them would understand that this can backfire and how easily. You have to see what's happening on Twitter. It's essentially bullying that's gotten out of control. I mean, that's really what it is now. Yeah. Because a celebrity, and I want to focus on the celebrities too, because theirs tends to be a bit more innocent than the politicians and stuff. But when the celebrities do or say something 10 years ago that maybe at the time was appropriate, or maybe it was just a joke, or maybe they were incredibly young, you will have people searching through their timeline to find anything they can to blow up their careers simply because they don't like the project they're working on, or because they don't want them associated with a particular character in a story. I mean, that's how insanely childish it's become as well. And a lot of times the studios don't care. They don't want to deal with it. They don't want to hear the backlash. They don't really want to research or do their homework. And so they just say, okay, well, we're just going to disassociate ourselves from this person because of it, because there's a media storm on Twitter, not in the real world where people actually, have reasonable concerns, but in this world where nothing makes sense.
Yeah. And sometimes those are the people that will survive a cancel culture attempt, because these companies, they will sit and they will weigh, is it worth it? Is it worth it to stand by this person? Is it worth it to let this person go? And that is what is so insidious, I think, about this cancel culture phenomenon that we've been seeing, is people know that. They know that all you have to do is make a big enough fuss to make it inconvenient for your employer, and your employer.
And that's the funny part, because of the latest drama that's going on with Chrissy Teigen and why she's being canceled. And I personally think she's a horrible person, but this is what's going on. So Chrissy Teigen, left-wing Twitter is in a hurry after food writer Alison Roman compared the model social media streak to a content farm in May, prompting Teigen to deactivate her account in defense of her mental health. She had grown tired of taking punches on social media and departed from the platform with an empowering note for the legions of followers to remember her by. That was barely a month ago, and Twitter backed her without question. But the wheel of fate has since made a blind turn, and once a social media darling, Chrissy Teigen is now universally reviled. What happened? It all has to do with Chrissy Teigen's documented maltreatment of the then 16-year-old Courtney Stodden, an abuse survivor once groomed to marry actor Doug Hutchinson, a 34-year-old, a 34 years their senior. When they were still teenager, Teigen joined the media circus and publicly degrading Stodden, shaming them for what is now revealed to be a predatory connection, unconscionably made a spectacle by people like Chrissy Teigen. In a long overdue expose written by the Daily Beast's Marlo Stern, Courtney Stodden, now 26, narrates the shocking details of the last 10 years, from Hutchinson's gaslighting to Teigen's equally abhorrent tweets and DMs ceaselessly urging them, note Stodden identifies as non-binary, to commit suicide. Chrissy Teigen is trending once more, but for all the wrong reasons. And this is the person. And basically, she was told to go end herself, or they were told to go end themselves. Social media deactivates dug up the mother of two tweets, tweet history, and discovered Chrissy Teigen brazenly fantasizing about Stodden taking a dirt nap, accusing the high schooler of taking drugs because of the way their mouth looked, called them an idiot, and daring them to go to sleep forever. A dirt nap is a slang for permanent death, specifically funerals and being buried 6 feet under. Now, in addition to this, there was also, and I mean, I'll go back a couple of years ago now with the whole thing that happened with Pizzagate, and how she's definitely been connected with, very, very bad things with regards to kids. And she went and basically scrubbed her Twitter account for thousands and thousands of tweets that had to do with that. So this lady is into some really weird ass shit. And if anyone deserves to be canceled, it's Chrissy Teigen, I think. But at the same time, I'm not a fan of cancel culture. I like the idea that she's being exposed and people are now starting to see how messed up she is. But there's a difference between that than when Candace Owens actively goes and tells her followers to contact Target and get them to tell them that we're not going to shop at Target anymore if you keep carrying Chrissy Teigen's line. that is a weird step,
It's a
into
step
the
too
other
far.
direction.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
into the,
but
I don't know.
I guess my issue with that is what she did. There are people being prosecuted for. So it's not as if what she did was innocent or just being a jerk. What she did in trying to bully someone into suicide is a crime in some places. I don't know if it's
Mhm.
every state, but it
It
is
could be a
in many
crime
places
if
a
it's
crime.
not.
It is in most
So
states.
what you're a consumer deciding that they're not going to deal with a company that supports someone who is like this or commits any other type of crime, I think it's perfectly fine. The issue I have with Candace is sort of the issue I have with people who have huge platforms who are doing it more so out of the sense of virtue signaling. Like they're doing it more so for their own platform and for their own attention than they are because they actually believe this. If she said, I'm not going to shop at Target because of this, of their supporting this person, or I'm not going to shop at Walmart because of how these clothing, how it's made overseas by children or something, that's one thing. But when you know that they're only clout chasing by doing this, it adds a different levels. It's almost like she's profiting from what Christy did. And
Exactly.
that's what I have a problem with.
Well,
here.
there's two main currencies today. It's the victim card currency, and there's the moral currency that you get from virtue signaling. Virtue coins. Call it what you want, but it's something that has sprung up on social media, and I think I think it ends up being a sort of addiction. The a place addiction in a sense, and it's not good. It's batshit crazy.
So there's a
Yeah.
couple people in the chat right now, and they're saying that basically, like SAR is saying that's a boycott, not a cancellation. People are not obligated to spend their money on someone. And Tina is saying protesting with your dollar is one of the healthiest way to protest, and that's how I usually protest. I protest with my dollar. Like I don't buy anything Disney because I don't believe in Disney anything anymore. I don't spend money on companies I don't believe in anymore, or I think have done really shady stuff. However, with regards to Candace Owens's direction of getting her followers to contact Target to demand that they take out Chrissy Teigen's line, like I don't understand, because if you go to Target, right, and you see Chrissy Teigen's line, just don't buy it. Like there's no you don't have to go to the corporation and demand that they take that thing out, because they'll see that you won't buy it, and then they'll naturally come to a conclusion, well, if this isn't selling, we're not going to pick up anymore. And that would be the natural way of going about things, versus harassing people at Target to drop this person's line. I don't understand. Like, I don't know if you guys see what I'm saying. Like, I feel like there's a difference.
Yeah.
It's grander. It's a grander thing. She could have just said, what, I'm just not going to buy any more of her stuff.
Yeah.
She didn't do that because that's not going to get her the attention.
Yeah. All she had to do was basically just present the information and let people make up their own minds. Right?
Too.
This person is bad because of this and this and this. And if people, see it and decide, I'm not going to support this person, then, it's different than urging a mob to contact targets to get something removed as an option for people.
But to play devil's advocate, I'm playing devil's advocate here because I think there is a point made in the chat is, well, then what's a boycott for? Because we have seen where boycotts, especially during the civil rights era, were incredibly effective and incredibly just. Where's the line between bullying and boycotting?
Personally, I don't think boycotting is ever bullying. But I think that even here, I don't think it's bullying. I just think she's, doing it for
I think it is. I
clout.
think it is a form of bullying. Like, because what she's doing is basically she's bullying Target. I know, and that sounds really weird because Target's a corporation and they could very much tell her to F off. But she is bullying them because she's such a big voice. She's saying, because of my big voice, I'm telling you what to do. And if you don't do it, then like all of my people, we're not going to shop here anymore. And and that's weird to me. You could say, I'm never gonna buy Chrissy, like you can do a live stream and be like, I'm never gonna buy a Chrissy Teigen line ever again. I don't care like how cheap it is. I don't even care if it's $1. I would never buy it, right? You tell that to your followers, though, they won't buy it either, right? You don't have to go to Target and be like, you take this like thing. Like, I just feel like that's
But
so
she's
petty
nothing to
sell.
Target. She's nothing to Target. It becomes, I think Target just wouldn't necessarily want to be bothered on Twitter with her and her following.
Right.
But her following is inconsequential to the billions of people who shop there.
Yeah,
I don't think they
there's
are
another thing
inconsequential
too.
because they did end up lifting, or they did end up taking Chrissy Teigen's line off Target. And I think also another was another place too that did it.
But that's what I'm saying.
Macy's.
I think they do stuff like that because they just see what's trending on Twitter and then they make a decision because now they're trying to benefit from it. It's not like they actually care or even would be actually affected by it.
Mhm.
But if they can now stand out and they can now virtue signal that they stand against this kind of behavior, then they can see profits from it. It's just, that's why I say they're not being bullied, because when they make those decisions, they know they don't have to. They know very well they don't have to, but they know that if they do, it'll boost sales a little bit.
Yeah, and there's also, when people contact Target or whoever it is, right?
Mhm.
There's also a chance that there's a lot of loonies that not only will contact Target, they'll also threaten people who work at Target. And I think Candace Owens probably knows that damn well. And she can always,
I think she does too.
Yeah, and she can just say, no, well, I never said that. But, she still knows.
And that's
it's
kind of
probably
like what
gonna happen.
Nicole Arbour brought up as well in the clip that I'll play for you guys in a minute. But I just want to thank you, Deranged Lunatic, for the Doomercorn for 99 cents. Thank you so much. And we had Crazy Cat Guy giving a $5 super sticker. Thank you so much for that. What is it? It is a hiya, little corgi. Thank you. And Mr. Tickle Drunk, again, for $5 says, firing someone without outside pressure as your own decision, voting with your own dollar, etc., are all protests, not being a part of cancellation mob. Yeah, I mean, I don't want people to pressure me into doing anything. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, if I was Target, I would have just told Candace Owens to F right off, because I don't really like it when people tell me what to do.
But if you see it as an opportunity to stand against injustice and be the hero on Twitter, then why wouldn't you? Like, I think the corporations too are part of this game. They're looking for opportunities to voice their support for some marginalized group or cause. And this is just another example for them to do that. So they took advantage of it. They could have said nothing. They could have said, no, we're going to stand by her. And it wouldn't have dramatically affected their bottom line. But if they have an opportunity to get some clout, they're going to do it too.
And Mr. Tickletron comes in with another $2. Thank you so much. Says Candace Owens traded one ideology for another, and I think that's what kind of Stieg was talking about when.
Yeah, she
used to be a leftist.
traded one clout for the other because the first one backfired. But I think it was Fox or something had a little segment on this just yesterday where they were talking about how corporations created cancel culture. They were the one who started it. I didn't watch all of it though, but it's It's on YouTube on the Fox channel, so I mean, it's worth a look, right?
If you can find it, we can try and kind of play that.
Yeah, it had
It's a
that.
short
What's
thing.
his name? Gutfield.
Great
I hate that
Gutfeld.
guy. Yeah, I hate
If
him.
Oh,
If it's short, we can try and watch it if you find it. Shane Nolan says, I saw a video of one of Nicole Arbour's exes this week and about her abusive behavior with several boyfriends. Yeah, that's all coming out now. That's the other side of this is that Nicole
Yeah.
Arbour. And I'm gonna play this video for you guys so you can understand kind of like where the drama began. But Nicole Arbour, I've come to understand, is a drama queen herself, and like drama follows her wherever she goes, and she banks off of it. So she is definitely not one of those people who, again, is like championing the voice of whatever it is that she's trying to champion. Is that she's making bank off whatever it is she's trying to portray. And she 100% is involved in like heavy drama, and it's not the first time that she's involved with heavy drama regarding a few men. Things have come out about her a bunch of times, and she's been canceled a bunch of times, but each time she kind of clawed her way back. But this is what she had to say specifically with regards to, and this is what happened with her and Candace Owens. So she made a video calling basically all conservatives pussies for canceling Chrissy Teigen. Now, most people thought that she was directly talking about Candace Owens, even though she doesn't really talk about Candace Owens in this particular video, but she does put out 2 other videos, which we're not going to watch the whole thing. We're just going to watch kind of like what she started out saying, and then we're going to watch the clip of her walking off set when she's talking to Candace.
Good morning, team. Good morning. I'm on one. I'm warning you. I'm probably just. Good morning. Come on in. This morning I woke up super early and I'm about to work out and I'm just cranking my smoothie. Hey, Dane, not Daniel. Dane, what up?
Get into it.
I need to have a quick chat with everybody about bullies and bullying and canceling people and all this shit because it is so out of hand and we're all acting so fucking dumb. I'm seeing celebrities trying to cancel each other right now for tweets made 10 years ago. That's stupid. That's very stupid. The same celebrities that are like, oh, don't cancel people. Canceling is bad. Yes, canceling is stupid. I just want to get into this real quick. The world needs bullies. The world needs bullies. You know why we need bullies? Because you need people to be able to rise above something. If you don't have anything to rise above, if you don't have anybody to prove wrong, if you don't have anybody to win and turn around and be like, fuck that guy, then we're not going to be pushed as hard. It's okay to have people talk shit about you. Like, as long as it's like not like crazy and whatever, like it's okay to have people doubt you. It's okay for people to be absolute fucking idiots and say dumb shit. It's okay. The opposite of bullying is not anti-bullying. It's not canceling the bullies.
Now, you guys got to understand, she's talking about how Chrissy Teigen bullied someone online, a young girl, like 16 years old, right? And said to her that she should go and end herself and things like that. There's context here, right? So like, this isn't just, so-and-so is being canceled. Like, let's say Jimmy Kimmel's being canceled for doing blackface, or like, whatever. We're talking about like real life world consequences of somebody potentially being encouraged to end their lives, right? Like, so.
But this is someone who was accused of abuse, right?
Yes.
So it's an abuser defending another abuser.
She herself also has been accused by her boyfriend of being abusive to him. Now, that's all like, obviously she has her side of the story when it comes to that abuse situation. So we don't know if that's like, again, that's hearsay. So we don't actually know. There's been no criminal investigation or anything like that with regards to her abusive behavior towards her boyfriend, or whether she did hit him or not. But, for the most part, it is widely believed in her circles that yes, she has abused her boyfriend. So
And this doesn't help, but it does. It's consistent.
mhm.
You know, it's like she's talking about herself, really.
Yes, she's projecting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like it.
Opposite of bullying is knowing that you're fucking awesome. And until we're promoting that as the solution, we're all just a bunch of pussies. Cancel them. They said something that I don't like. What? Even the people who've been disgusting to me, I don't want them canceled. Good.
No, she just beats
Go
them
on
up.
with your life. I hope you watch while I kick your butt at everything you've ever
There you go.
accomplished. Good. Be there. And to people who may be on the right in America who are like, cancel culture in the same fucking breath as tweeting #cancel Chrissy Teigen, the fuck are you doing?
Okay, so now here, this is where Candace Owens is basically assuming that she's talking about her, because Candace Owens is like a hardcore advocate of like anti-cancel culture, and yes, she is definitely promoting #cancel Chrissy Teigen and #cancel so and so and
Yeah.
blah blah blah.
And she
blah,
used to dox people to cancel them back in the day.
right, and I didn't even know that until today, Steve.
Well,
I
that
didn't know
was
about her.
that was some stuff with when she was working with Zoe Quinn a little bit during
Yep.
Gamergate.
Candace Owens worked with Zoe Quinn.
That was how it all started. Yeah, we'll get off topic, but
Wow.
but that was the whole thing. Because Zoe Quinn was saying that she was receiving all these death threats, so Candace Owens was going to dox him to find out who was doing these, and it snowballed into something really big. But that's a whole different ball game right now. We all digress.
Yeah, but you know, it kind of shines a light on hypocrisy, though.
Yeah,
Oh,
it-
absolutely.
it's not really a digression, because that's exactly what it is. I didn't know that about Candace Owens at all. Like I didn't even know she was a lefty, to be completely honest with
Oh,
you. I thought she was
absolutely.
totally right.
Well, she
right
was a far lefty. Now she's far on the right, but she's firmly planted as a bitch.
Yeah. Oh, and the reason why I
She's
was
an
saying about
opportunist.
I wasn't necessarily saying about the digression. I just mean that I could spend the next 10 minutes explaining what all went down with that. But it is an absolute fact that was how it all got started.
1 second here. Yes, Christy, you can absolutely come on. Let me just quickly send Christy the
Oh,
link.
she's gonna make me
here.
cuss.
Oh no.
Christy's always welcome
No.
here on the show.
Yeah. Just while you're doing that, there's something I forget. Either Steve or Jayne said something that really triggered in my head, that there is a big difference between having personal Schadenfreude. Like I have tons of I have tons of Schadenfreude when people that are total douches get canceled. There's a big difference between having Schadenfreude and saying ha ha ha, they had it coming, and doing something real in the real world to actually try to get them hurt or destroyed. It's one thing to go ha ha, they had it coming. It's another thing to try to harm them. And
Yeah, basically, it's one thing to, go, that person deserved it because, and actively trying to make them end up
correct.
like that.
Yeah. And there's a difference between a Schadenboner and
Yeah, it's karma. Let karma do
Yeah.
its thing,
Mr. Trickle Trunk says Social Autopsy was the doxing site Candace was part of. And Tina says it's not hypocrisy if your views evolve. And this is something that's really interesting. And I do agree with, but I don't know if Candace Owens is one of those people. I just think Candace Owens is a grifter.
Yeah.
I know that that's a bold statement to make, but I think she goes kind of like where the money goes. I really do. I don't think she has like strong convictions. Just like Nicole, I think they're actually two sides of the same coin. I think
she's a very good talker. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. So if I hear you correctly saying, Nina, is that she saw which way the wind would blow for her favor and went in that direction, not necessarily because she saw the light.
That's exactly what I'm saying. And what's funny is I've heard her talk about, especially with regards to, like, let's say, Nicole Arbour here. because of this situation, she's had a really weird interaction with Nicole Arbour now. So she's done several live streams where she tried to expose her and like let everyone know what happened, because after Nicole did this, she basically invited, or she challenged Candace Owens to a debate, and Candace Owens accepted. Now the debate that was challenged, basically it came with a precursor of Nicole contacting Candace and her people and getting them to remove clips that she was planning on showing, which is basically these kind of clips that is already online. And there's like all these like different things that had happened. So Candace Owens was kind of like, what the F is wrong with this girl? But I think that they're just kind of like, they're just so similar. They're so similar in their personalities that they're kind of like clashing now. I don't know if that makes any sense.
Makes absolute sense. You get a bunch of chicks together, they're going to fight and backstab. It's a fact.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't think they're necessarily that similar, but I do think that they're both attention hoes, basically. And that's what they want. They want the fighting. I wouldn't be surprised at all if this was prearranged, honestly.
Speaking
If
of
their
Bachelor
conflict
Chrissy,
was
here's Christy.
coordinated.
Yeah, it might be. I just want to say hello to Christy, by the way. Hi, Christy.
Hello.
Welcome to the panel.
Hi. I kind of wanted, if I just go back a few minutes, because how she was talking about where basically it sums up to where you need like the bullying and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to actually make the comment where I said I actually agree with her to a certain extent on that. But for me, it's not bullying so much as rivalry, if that makes sense. Instead of like everyone saying, oh, you did such a great job, here's this participation trophy. I kind of get where she's coming from, but it's stupid the way she said it to me.
I mean, I kind of agree too, because I do believe, I don't think, like, I think she does have a point in the sense of saying that we need adversity in order to overcome and be able to, move on with our lives and like be able to overcoming adversity is a good thing, and you can kind of like really push yourself. But like, there's nuance there, right? So like, in the context of what she's talking about, like telling people to go commit suicide, that's different. That's not okay, right? Like But yes, kids will be kids, and there will be bullies, and they're gonna bully each other. It's just that, and that's okay. So like, I kind of agree with her in that sense of like, that the anti-bullying strategy that's been going around in schools and stuff like that, I believe is really not helping the situation either. Like it's kind of it's having an adverse effect where people are just becoming totally coddled and like, I don't know, just not able to overcome that adversity. So I agree with you, Christy. Like,
well, you want to talk about cancel culture, the amount of false accusations of bullying now that kids figure out what it'll do if you get
exactly.
Yeah.
There you go. That's another one.
I do disagree with her though to an extent, because I don't think that people being mean to you I don't think you should be driven by what other people think. I think you should be driven by your own self and your own goals, not because what other people say. That has never been a reason why I've done anything. Someone hating on me it's not going to make me work harder. I work steady. I accomplish goals for myself and for my family. It's nothing to do with people on the sidelines and what they think.
And that's a great point as well. But like, I was different than you, Jayne. I was very heavily, like, I heavily cared about what people thought of me in school, especially. So when that happened with me, I would get bullied into things. I was totally the person that succumbed to peer pressure. I was that girl for a long time. And that has to do with your upbringing. It has to do with a lot of other things. And I understand that, but, people struggle with different things, right? So like, it just, there's no one size fits all situation.
Well, yeah, I just think there's a difference, because I agree with you, Nina, but like for me, it's even when I was in high school, even when I'm working and stuff like that, I love healthy criticism. If the suggestion, if anything, that you can still come to me, and I think that's what people even today are still afraid of, like, oh, I don't think she should do. You could do it this way, but there's also maybe even a faster way, or you get like the advice type thing. And I think people are even hesitant to do that when it could be actually constructive criticism, and it's not quote unquote being mean or anything like that. I think that's missing a part now. I don't know if y'all agree or not, but
I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. And usually when you're dealing with bullying, in my personal life, or when I have to perceive it and step in, it's usually a situation of power. Like when a boss, like someone who truly does have power over you, who uses those tools of being your supervisor, being the person that can hire and fire you, to give you, to put pressure on you for unjust reasons, or saying, hey, if you say this, I don't know if I'm going to be able to renew your contract. It sounds like a bad TV movie, but I have been in that situation. And, guess how many F's I gave, but then again, but on the other hand, I was in a situation where I could do that. And maybe I watched A Man for All Seasons too many times in my youth, because it's like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't even matter if you lose your head. You have to follow your conscience. But it is true that there is a such thing as real bullying that is completely heinous. Or if you've ever been in a situation where you got a kid who say special needs, and a bunch of kids are ganging up on them in the locker room and putting their head in the toilet, and the kid can't even use the words. That is the most disgusting, most horrifying thing you'll ever experience in your life.
Yes,
And
it is.
yeah, that is bullying. You know what I'm saying? So there is such a thing as real bullying. I think that the difference is that, you'll run across assholes in your life, and you've got to learn to stand up to them. I remember my sister told my niece and nephew that when they went to middle school, she said, don't you dare respond or to a bully or something, because often what they do is they look for reactions. She said, don't react. She said, or if it comes to a point where you do, I give you permission to turn around and give them the double barrel middle finger and tell them to fuck off. And she said, and even if you get suspended, I will not get you in trouble. There's that kind of standing up for yourself that is good for you, but then there's the unequal power, whether it's mental or another kind of a situation. That's a whole
I've been suspended plenty of times when I got into fights where either from myself, people pick it like, you don't pick on my baby sister. Only I can pick on my baby sister. So
exactly,
we're 2.5 years younger than each other. So here I am ending in middle school, and she's starting. You're not gonna pick on my sister. I will happily take that suspension from school. And
would you agree that with the rise of social media, bullies have gotten, I guess, an extra venue, because they can, by using their followers, which is often quite a lot of people, they can use them to do the bullying for them.
I absolutely agree. I mean, there was that one story of that one girl who basically bullied her boyfriend to commit suicide too. There's so many stories like that now.
Zoe Quinn, she got one guy bullied, and he killed himself.
And he killed himself too.
And it's not just big celebrities, cough, 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 where we see some people sending their followers after others. And I don't like it
Twitter,
one
on
little bit.
YouTube, and everywhere.
It happens everywhere. In every social circle. And Sar D here kind of nails this too, because it says the problem is the definition of words are always expanded anytime it's politically expedient. And that's one of the reasons I wanted to discuss accountability culture versus cancel culture and what that really means, because we have a lot of people coming out and talking about accountability versus cancel culture. And that's what Candace Owens was saying in her rebuttal to this whole thing, that she's holding Chrissy Teigen accountable, or LeVar Burton, who said the same thing, or Gerry Conway that said the same thing. And I'll bring up those examples in a few minutes, but let's just kind of finish up with Nicole here, and then I'll move on to the other clip.
For context, who is Nicole? Because I really don't know who she is.
Nicole Arbour is a comedian. She's a Canadian comedian who basically she started doing YouTube several years ago, like 5-6 years ago. And she's gotten in a lot of hot water for a video that she made called Dear Fat People. And there's another one called
bitch.
Yeah, that's her. And Dear Black People. And she's been like kind of canceled and involved in drama like over and over and over.
The pot, essentially. You can have your own opinion on something, but when you just do it to stir up the pot to get attention, and look, we're talking about it now, so and
she was also like there you go. Darkside said she did abuse Matthew Santora, and that's basically a YouTuber who accused her that was dating her, and he accused her of abusing him. So there's definitely a lot of crazy drama going on with this girl, and there's several really great YouTube videos about it. I watched them last night because I went down a really crazy deep rabbit hole with this girl trying to figure out what she was all about. And because at first, when I first saw this clip, I was with her. Like I agreed. And I thought that, Candace Owens did attack her in the clip that I'm about to show right now, where she walks off the set. So I was like, what's her story? Like, why did Candace Owens come after her so hard? But it seems like she's just one big drama queen. So
who was the 16-year-old? Who was the girl that she was going after? Chrissy Teigen.
This other girl that we talked about earlier in the stream, her name is Courtney Stodden. Well, it's not her actually; it's a they. They identify as.
But I mean, the important part of it was that you were dealing with a 16-year-old child
at the time. Yes,
at the time.
Yes.
Isn't she the girl? No, okay, never mind. No.
Okay. All right. So this is the clip where Nicole walks off.
The face
You
app.
guys want the clip
Oh,
of me
no.
leaving, so I'm gonna give it to you. I would love to jump into it. So do you have an intro for it? Should we tell the audience?
Well, yeah. So I want to bring people up to speed. So Nicole posted a counter video to what she deems to be cancel culture of me saying.
That's the one that we just watched, and then apparently she put out 2 other ones after that, which she basically barred Candace Owens from showing, and that's why Candace Owens is going to read stuff.
Saying that Chrissy Teigen needs to face some consequences for this. You made 3 videos.
Nobody
about
thought
me.
this video was about you, the first one, except for you.
Oh, I
They
did.
thought it was about the
about,
topic.
I thought it was about.
Everybody
saying
knew it was
anything.
about
I'm
me,
just- I'm
and
not-
I feel like this is such a
Cancel
it's
culture
like
is for
say this.
Period.
It is peak gaslighting when you make 3 videos, you drop my name, you put my name in the comments, and then you say,
I
I don't
said
know what's
you're
going on.
awesome.
I don't know why people
Why
thought
are you
this
so
was about
sensitive,
Candace.
Candace? I thought words
you're
don't
not saying
hurt.
sensitive. I'm
Words
calling
don't
you
hurt.
out on
Let's
it.
be realistic.
I'm calling you out on this. It's like,
I'm
don't
calling you
gaslight
out.
me.
It's
you,
not
you
gaslighting.
called me out in 3 videos. You
I
subbed
didn't
me
call
on
you
Twitter.
out. I
You
said you're
added
awesome.
Prager you and me and said that you cut me off when I was talking about Chrissy Teigen.
You did.
Everybody on the internet knew you were talking about me. You responded to a comment and said
Why
that, yes,
can't I
I'm talking
talk
about
you?
Candace.
Why can't I disagree with
So
you?
now you're agreeing that you were talking about
unfollowed
me.
me because
let
I
me just say
disagreed
this.
with it.
Let me jump in here real quick.
Please,
Let me jump in here real
Brandon,
quick.
say something.
Listen.
Candace.
So listen, I think
this is like-
that clearly when somebody watched the video, they could tell you talking about Candace. There's no denying it. However, I do not believe that what's going on with Chrissy Teigen is cancel culture.
It is when
It
you
is-
put
it is-
cancel
let me
Chrissy
just-
and make your
That's fine.
audience
You
go
can use
after
the
her
word-
with vitriol,
you can use the
saying
word-
the same disgusting things that you stand
Nicole.
against. Your audience is now doing it.
Nicole,
I would
you
be
can use the
embarrassed
word
if my
My
cancel.
audience is now
acting
sliding
like
into
it.
DMs of teenagers threatening to kill them.
They're sliding at her. She has said that she's
Had they
having
threatened
mental
to
health
kill her?
issues. I don't know.
So
Probably.
now she's having mental health
So
issues.
now my audience is to blame because they're saying that her
You
product
have
shouldn't
directed
be.
your audience to be as nasty as Chrissy.
That is
That's
not
not-
true.
I
That
don't
is
believe that.
so
Well,
untrue.
You
I directed
have.
my audience specifically
You were
to
informing them.
Target
You have.
and asked them to
Because
tell them to
this-
drop her product.
this is
I
the
never
problem.
told them to go on
You're-
Chrissy's wall. Not
They
once.
are
This is the
going
problem. When
private
conservatives do
Disgusting.
things, we have consequences.
Mhm.
If a conservative came out and said they were a Trump supporter, Target would be banning them and everything
Forever.
else.
Yeah.
So when Chrissy Teigen comes out and she does things that is evil, spiteful, it's not a
Malicious.
representation of any of these companies, then
I
we
agree.
say hold her accountable like you would do everybody else. We're not counseling. They don't have to counsel her.
Do that.
Hold her
We
accountable.
can't do it.
No,
And
Here's my question. They're like, hold her accountable. Like, what does that mean? What does that mean? There's no definitions anymore because no one knows what that means. When you say hold somebody accountable, that usually means cancel them. I think
Well,
it's like a semantic.
I agree with you. I think it should mean why isn't she being prosecuted? Like, that's the question that someone should be calling the DA and saying, look,
Sure.
she bullied this person and tried to get them to commit suicide publicly. Why isn't she being held accountable in the court system or something along those lines? They're more concerned with whether she has a job selling T-shirts or whatever she does. I mean, that's what I'm saying. It's like a lot of the people who are coming out and saying things are doing it because it gives them some sort of following. It gives them some sort of support and some sort of clout, and they're benefiting and profiting from it. If they really wanted accountability, they would be trying to help this person who suffered as a result of what she did.
Precisely. And that's where going back to what I was saying earlier on in the conversation, that you hold people accountable by the law. But if you have any other standard, you devolve into witch hunting.
Let me ask you, because I know, Teresa, you said that you hold people accountable by the law, but maybe this is a question that needs more discussion with. But when you have like internet like bullying and stuff like that, I mean, how do you prosecute that? Because I've known people who have had harassments that made the police reports and did everything that they needed to, but there wasn't enough evidence and cases were dismissed and stuff like that. So
yeah,
does the law to a certain extent need to, I guess, update with the times? I mean,
well, but the same thing happens in the real world too. I'm just saying that if we start to have subjectivity as the means by which we punish people in the real life, in their real lives, then you have subjectivity in everything, and it devolves into the dictatorship of relativism.
Yeah, okay.
There has to be an objective standard by which people are judged.
Yeah,
and sometimes there may not be enough evidence, but in this particular case, there was, because everyone knew what she was doing.
Well, I want to say Sardi in the chat. They also said there's a civil law, if not criminal, and I always forget that there could be like you can go against them civilly. I always forget that, so that's just another thing where people hard to say that they should be prosecuted criminally and stuff like that, but.
Well, and that's the
it
other
takes
thing too.
being reminded about this.
This is my problem with Chrissy Teigen, especially Chrissy Teigen as well. Like, because this is not the first time she's done this. This this goes beyond bullying one person and to try and to committing suicide or whatever. This goes into the whole pedophilia situation, which gets really, really muddy then, right? So that's what I'm saying. The idea of her being canceled then has nothing to do with her making money off pots and pans or t-shirts or whatever. It has to do with her not being part of society, meaning like actually having been prosecuted and being put to jail because she no longer, should be part of a society if she's practicing in that kind of behavior or advocating that kind of behavior. So, and they don't want to go near that. Like that whole Pizzagate thing, that's not even being brought up here because there's some very powerful people on the left trying to keep that shit still hush hush. The whole child thing in Hollywood is still very, very hush hush. So they're not going to go near that. And there's a very big difference between canceling someone for that than whatever the hell this is. Like, I don't know. I don't know.
I think this is vigilantism, and I think that is what we're seeing as cancel culture. It is digital vigilantism, and revenge is often the motivation.
Awesome one says, "Why you shadow Nina?" I don't know what that means.
Maybe in regards to like with YouTube itself. I mean, I don't know.
Well, we're talking about really, really tough topics here. That's why we encourage everyone to smash the like and share the stream if you want people.
Do you
to
do you want me to download it to get the art more like in the algorithm and stuff like that?
Sure, you can be my Karen. That's not a problem at all.
Okay, I'm the second person. I'll go back and like it later after it's over with.
Oh, you're so funny. Okay, let's continue watching this because this gets even better.
He wants to be held accountable like we are. We're not. We don't. These companies are supposed to be impartial.
How are you a different person on the internet than you are in person? You literally did 3 videos saying you didn't agree.
No, I agree with what he said. Chrissy Teigen should be held accountable for poor actions.
But canceling her is not accountability.
No. We do not participate
What do you
in
consider
cancel culture
is? I'm saying to Target and Macy's drop her products so that she can be held accountable for what she's done.
I don't think
her products got dropped. I didn't ask for her to be erased from the internet.
That's stupid. I'm going to politely decline to be on the rest of the show.
Yeah, but like Candace, like, I like the way she's like, I didn't want her to be erased from the internet, as if that's anything to do with anything. Like, who gives a shit if like Chrissy Teigen gets erased from the internet? Like, she's like, oh yeah, like I did get a mob of people to contact Target and Macy's, but like I don't care if she still has a Twitter account. Like, I don't know if you know what I'm saying here. Like, this is such a weird line to draw.
It's like the most important thing to them is the internet.
Exactly. And it's also weird that she's taking credit for it as if she alone is responsible. And this whole thing seems staged. Am I the only one who gets?
I know you're not. You're not. I
think it's staged too. Although, like, there's still like drama
reality TV
in the background before and after the show as well. Lorena, thank you so much for stopping by. Thank you.
Never mind. Sorry.
What?
Yeah.
Nothing. I was trying. No.
Yeah. But some of that discussion that we were just hearing there is coming back to the main point. What is the definition of cancel culture? I guess what Candace was pulling out of her butt was being canceled is not being allowed to have your Twitter, but if you have your products pulled from the store, that's not canceling. I mean, what the hell?
Exactly. Like, she's setting such arbitrary rules on the term cancel culture versus consequence culture. So that's what I'm saying. Like, where are the rules? Like, who is setting these rules, you know?
12-year-olds.
The internet.
Nothing to do.
No.
Let's continue watching.
I know who's setting the rules.
Who?
BTS stands and K-pop stands.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I mean, they do rule Twitter.
That's true. It's true.
I delved in that a few hours ago. And I was like, oh my God, I should have never clicked on this shit.
They can shut down a trending topic in a heartbeat.
Jeff Tired Mikey is asking, well, is it a question of degree? Since Chrissy T is so rich, can she be canceled?
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. I think she can, but I don't know if she can to
How
that
long is it
extent.
going to last?
Because
that was the point the first guy was making, was that when you're dealing with a certain level of celebrity, the whole cancellation thing is a farce, which is another part of this. Is some of them do pretend to be canceled and they're so hurt by what's happening, but they're so rich they will never and ever actually be canceled.
Yeah, and if you're part of the far left, what's going on in Hollywood and the whole, that's what I'm saying, the whole kids thing, if she didn't get canceled for that, there's no way in hell she's going to get canceled for something that happened 15 years ago to some, she tweeted at some girl to go, off herself. Like, who gives a F? Like, I don't know. Like, that's what I'm saying.
Even J.K. Rowling, like, I like her, actually. But she was quote unquote canceled because she lost some book deals. But she is rich as hell. She will never
she didn't
suffer.
Feel it.
Well,
Well, remember James Gunn got canceled for a year, and now he's got blockbuster movies, and actually
Yeah,
nothing
because
ever
he's part
really
of
happened to
Hollywood.
him.
They don't
And-
care. They don't care
Well,
about that stuff.
like, and there's another thing. I know if y'all don't watch a Jeep, this was so stupid to talk about, but it comes with context. But like Jeepers Creepers, the director, he did some no things, and he's not set into like this newest movie that's supposed to come out, but he's still a part of it to a certain extent. Does that make sense? Where everyone is supposed to be, they're going to be canceled and they're not a part of it, but yet they still are at the same time. So it's just like there's another scandal, there's another cancel thing in Hollywood again and again and again. And how long can the audiences, fans, like just say enough is enough? Like y'all just live on the like us bitching and complaining about it, and that's all y'all are good for. So why should I pay for anything?
It started with Mel Gibson and Michael Richards. That was like ground zero.
And
Good point.
And the guy from what's it called too though? The guy from 2.5 Men. What was that? Charlie Sheen.
Charlie Sheen.
Hmm.
Yeah, he was canceled for like 5 minutes.
No, that was a huge cancellation. Like during when he lost his show, he lost 2.5 Men, and
he was still rich.
Yeah, but he was
still
drugged out of his mind though.
But you never saw him again, though. He never got any roles. Like, you know,
he still had his money. Look at Roseanne and what she said. She was kicked off of that show, but I mean, you can't tell me that there's not something in her contract where she still gets some type of money because she's alluded.
Oh, she's getting residuals.
Yeah,
she's
exactly.
getting residuals from the old show. Yeah.
So,
yeah.
And she may have gotten an advance that she keeps. I mean, it's like, I mean, some of the stuff, if you cancel them, you're just saving them the work. They're still going to get the check.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I say it's so superficial. And if people really wanted quote unquote consequences for behavior, they would do things that are more substantive, not this online stuff. But like someone else said, this is the real world for them. It's what's online. The real world is Twitter. Even though it's not, for them it is. If they lose their Twitter account or it gets suspended, that's true cancellation.
For Candace, that's a huge deal. Like that is yeah.
Because they are narcissists.
Yep.
Yes, it's true. All right, let's watch the rest of this. This is fun.
I know that you guys want the clip of me leaving, so I'm going to give it to you. And I appreciate you having me on. I would love for a real conversation sometime, because I just think what just happened here is really gross and it didn't need to happen. And I know I've said gross a million times and you're going to make fun of me for it, but I think that we have the opportunity to be better human beings and better women and set a better example. And I hope that we can do that.
And I think that you're saying that now, but you should have started thinking about that before you posted 3 videos about me insulting my character.
None of them insulted.
But, you know,
none of them insulted.
Goodbye. We're allowing you to excuse yourself. We're not
None
going
of
to
them.
force you to stay here. None of them were insulting. Did anybody just hear what I read out loud? I mean, this is like the ultimate.
I'm going to
gaslighting.
repost them.
Okay,
because
Nicole,
I literally
you
said
just had your exit. You said gave your sayonara. Like, you know, we got to move on with the show.
Candace, give me a sec. Can you guys pause for a second?
Yeah.
Sweet, thank you. You know, I had back surgery like a week ago. It takes me a second. Sweet. Thank you so much for having me on.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, the victim
for
card.
being here and sharing your
Thanks,
thoughts
guys.
about cancel culture. Brandon, if you could move down.
I mean,
that was staged as fuck.
It's
That
weird
really
though. She
was.
just had back
Like-
surgery and she still has a stick up her ass.
Oh my god. Well,
It's like Housewives.
Things kept spiraling from there. I mean, there's been insane drama between the two of them, and now Nicole's getting like all sorts of other drama with this other dude. What's his name? God, I forget his name now, but some other guy that apparently called the cops on her
Rick
because
Springfield.
he stole her wallet. Or I mean, he claimed that she stole his wallet, and she was like, no, he left it in my apartment. There's like all this BS. Like, I don't know what's going on. But this girl's basically crazy. You guys know that crazy hot scale guy? Like, you know, like that, you know.
I did the little, the graph, the little thing on the dry erase board.
Yeah.
I remember that.
She's the psycho girl. Like, she's super hot, but she's like insanely psycho. That's what I realized about Nicole Arbour. Null White for $5 says Charlie Sheen was with chicks while HIV positive and didn't tell them. What? I didn't know that. That's gross. Is that true?
No, that's not true. He did inform them. That bit got debunked.
Oh, I didn't know anything about that part.
I didn't even know he was HIV positive.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
All the drugs he did.
Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, they shagged skanky hoes. That's what you get. Probably did glory holes too.
Oh my God, this
Probably had heroin needles in his arm while poking into a glory hole. He got HIV.
I hate you so much, Steve, for making me want to laugh at that. So I hate you so much.
Well,
no,
Nina,
why?
it's nice
Thank you so
having
much
your
for the
channel.
$100 super chat.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Nina's like, my God, my channel.
Yeah, I was going to say it was an honor, Nina, being on your final stream from your channel before it gets completely erased.
Yeah, thank you.
Hey, if my channel hasn't gotten demonetized at all yet, then we talk about all sorts of shit on that thing.
Cancel.
Well, you know, if your channel gets canceled, we can play D&D more.
Exactly. Well, and Christy, we all know you're immune. Steve is the only one that gets canceled.
No, that's not true. Because during a Walmart stream, a certain person looked like a certain Russian president, and as soon as I showed that damn thing, my stream ended.
Oh my God!
I didn't mention the name. I said, you know, you shouldn't be putting it out there.
As soon as you said that, like within 30 seconds, the stream fucking ended.
So here is what
That was
LeVar
great.
Burton had to say about consequence culture as well.
Okay.
In terms of cancel culture, I think it's misnamed. That's a misnomer. I think we have a consequence culture, and that consequences are finally encompassing everybody in the society, whereas they haven't been ever in this country. So I think that there are good signs that are happening in the culture right now, and I think it has everything to do with a new awareness on people who were simply unaware of the real nature of life in this country for people who have been othered since this nation began.
He's batshit crazy.
Cancel culture,
There was also.
I
Okay,
think
go
it's
ahead.
Part of the problem too is these people clearly aren't paying attention to what's actually happening. He's looking at it from the perspective of someone doing actual harm and being put in a position where they actually suffer consequences for that. That's not what's happening though. It's like that has happened, but you also have people being canceled for the dumbest reasons on earth. And it's not the same thing. It's completely out of hand. And that's why people are complaining about it. It would be different if it stuck to saying, I'm not going to support this person because they committed this crime or they actually harmed someone in some way. Now it's just, I literally don't like this person. I don't like their opinion. And so we should all get together and mob them and harass them and drive them off of Twitter.
Yeah.
That's
Right,
what
and that's
cancel culture has become.
And to your point, Mr. Tickle Drunk for $2 says consequences don't fit the crime. That's mob. And again, for another $2, thank you so much, says mob justice is never justice. And I agree with this 100%. I don't think mob justice is ever justice either.
No, because a mob just reacts. They don't look at facts or anything.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, oh yeah, everyone else bashing this person, so it's okay if I do it too. The reason doesn't matter.
Yeah,
and nobody fact checks.
Exactly. Right. And cancellation culture is basically just handing out scarlet letters and shame and everyone pointing, shame, 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 ringing the bells. That's cancellation culture. I think that LeVar Burton, as was said, I believe it was by Jayne, is he's confusing justice. Say, for example, the whole thing with the Chauvin trial and all that, where he went to trial and a jury of the peers, blah, 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 as opposed to lynchings. That's a big difference.
Actually, a good example would be the Covington kids.
Yes.
Because they got canceled immediately based on one short clip. And they were
Right.
they were teens.
What was this? What was it, Steve?
Yeah,
the Covington kids.
Yeah, the Covington kids. You know, the ones that seemingly were being nasty to a Native American, and then the whole clip leaked later, which the media held back. Actually, they got busted holding it back, and it turned out, the Native American was the guy who harassed them.
Went into their face.
Yeah, banged the drum.
They had.
Oh, really? I'm sorry. I
their
did not know
names,
that.
the schools, everything got doxxed. Even celebrities did it. What's her name? The lady who looks like a turkey with red hair.
Kathy Griffin.
Yeah, Kathy Griffin.
Yeah, she doxed their names and encouraged people to get on their backs and stuff.
Yeah, the school had to shut down. The diocese had to practically shut down, and because there were so many people threatening the school. And these were 15-year-old kids.
Was it CNN or MSNBC that had to pay out like millions of dollars to the family?
Yeah,
I think it was good. Washington
CNN,
Post.
$250 million each.
Yeah. So the good news is these kids are rich for life.
Yeah, and they're still. I think they have 8 more lawsuits. Some of them are against celebrities.
Yeah, I think they're still pending.
Yeah.
You can preach, bitch, complain all you want. If you have an opinion that is good, or if it's something that you think is true and you want to fight against it, but as soon as you dox someone, especially someone who is a minor, you've lost me completely. I
hate it.
I don't care. I
hate when they go after children, period.
Yeah.
Even when the kids are wrong, it's still not something that should be public. There's a reason why we have juvenile court systems and why that is sealed in terms of their records. Kids should just be untouchable, in my opinion. There's enough crap that adults are engaging in to keep us busy. We don't have to focus or bring children into it. So that whole situation was a problem from the beginning.
What's also amazing is some of the stuff you can actually find. Like, I'm really good at finding people's information. I just don't say anything because I would never want to do that, even if I can't.
Christy is a stalker, confirmed.
I know. I really am. I can be a stalker. Nina can confirm that shit. But you just, I mean, you have to hold accountability of yourself. Yes, you don't agree with what this person is saying, but when it comes to a 12-year-old, 13-year-old, 14-year-old, I mean, they're old enough. I'm old enough to be their mom or their parent, and at that, you just want them to be like, maybe they need to learn from this more than the internet harping at them, because, like we said earlier, it's the freaking internet, and cyberbullying is so much. Could you imagine there being cyberbullying when we were teenagers?
Oh, I'm so glad I didn't.
Wait a minute.
It just wasn't around.
Christy stalks people?
Fuck you, Steve.
You're not the one who's been sending me bras every week, is it?
Oh my god!
Because those don't fit. I have to throw them away.
I know I haven't, but I can I can send you that one clip if you want me to.
Oh my god! Moving on, you guys. Mr. Checkle Trunk for another $2. Thank you so much. Says, I thought justice was blind in the USA.
Since when?
Yeah,
that's idealistic. That's idealistic. It comes down to who you know and how much money you have.
Yep,
that's the ideal, and it's.
I mean,
it's sad that it's not, because it's a good idea, but it's not the case.
Yeah, Ted Kennedy. He drove a woman off a bridge and got her drowned, and nothing ever happened to him.
Teresa will know this case. Do you remember? Did you hear of the case of the affluenza defense of that kid?
Yes,
in the DFW area.
Oh my gosh,
he got off. I actually know who that is. Like,
oh my
personally.
gosh.
So like, or
Evil.
to an acquaintance to a certain extent, but there's the same boy in the same Johnson County that did that. He was a black teenager. He got 25 years. This affluenza kid got sent to some rehab center, and it's mind-boggling.
It's
Wow.
evil.
So justice is blind is it can be corrupt in the States. It really can.
Yeah, well, as long as you have humans, as long as you have, if you will, original sin, you will always have assholes. It's like J.R. Tolkien said, history is one long defeat.
Well, I mean, I absolutely think that, and that's the thing too with the jury system. Like, you know, you had the case of the whole Chauvin thing, and it's coming out now that the jury was incredibly biased, again, like going in. So you don't know, like you cannot have a impartial system if people are being bombarded with certain ideologies, and they're human. They're going to have their own ideologies. They're gonna apply that to it.
But even in those situations, I mean, whenever police are put on trial, there's an incredible bias in their favor. It's almost impossible to convict a police officer of anything. So you walk into court depending on who you are, who you know, what your status is, what you look like, how cleanly you dress, how articulate you happen to be, who your lawyer is, who the judge is, how people are feeling that day. All of these things come into play.
Yeah, that's true. They do. They do. Robert Anderson says, but the congressman who called on the Covington kids to be denied college admissions were found unaccountable because being elected to Congress is a license to slander anyone for any reason.
Yeah.
Any comments on this?
No, that's true. I mean, look at that Cortez lady. She slanders people all the time.
I mean, they
AOC?
clearly get away with
AOC,
whatever
yeah.
they want. I mean, these are people who, in many cases, have been in office for longer than many of us have been alive.
Yeah.
So they
That's so
clearly
true.
get away with doing and saying whatever they want.
Yeah, Elizabeth Warren, that does that quite often as well. I mean, it's just such a, the political system is just such a mess and so biased in so many ways. But getting back to the cancel culture thing, I also saw this from Gerry Conway, that's co-creator of The Punisher. Said something like cancel culture is a systematically loaded phrase intended to minimize the ethical issues that inspire the social reaction. A fairer and more accurate phrase would be accountability culture. People are being held socially accountable for their behavior. Is that wrong? Jayne, do you think that's wrong? Or do you think that's right?
What he's saying?
Yeah. Because he's saying, is that wrong? Like what he's saying is
I think that how he's structuring the whole premise is wrong. Because it is, I agree that it is a loaded phrase, but it's not so simply because of ethical or moral issues tied to what people are reacting to. In some instances, that's the case. But I find on social media, especially, and on Twitter, which has sort of birthed this thing, it's not. People aren't moving or expressing their opinions based on some sort of ethical or moral foundation. It's more so what they get out of it, how it makes them feel to destroy another person, how it promotes their platform to seem to virtue signal a particular position. That seems to be what's happening more and more. It's moved entirely away from actual consequences or accountability or doing things from a genuine place. It's become about how I look like saying this thing, how many likes I get for tearing this other person down.
Which is narcissism. And I think social media amplifies narcissism.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I think social media does amplify narcissism as well, as we saw with the whole thing with the Nicole Arbour and Candace Owens situation. I think that they're both extremely narcissistic women who have big platforms, and they're just using that to basically push their ideologies. Now their ideologies, interestingly, like the funny part is, Stieg, that when I was looking into the whole Nicole Arbour situation, Candace was saying the same thing about her that you said about Candace. Like, 'cause she was saying that Nicole was a lefty that all of a sudden came into the right wing circles, and that right wing people are so inviting of new right wingers that nobody really knew what she was all about, and then it turned out she was like this big psycho. And now I'm hearing you say that Candace Owens used to be a lefty, and that she also seems kind of like exactly the same.
But some people are just opportunists. I don't think she was ever a lefty. I think she was just a money-grabbing grifter.
Yeah.
Well, never underestimate the power of the almighty click. They are doing it for clicks.
No,
whatever it is.
Always follow the money. Yeah.
Always follow the money. And clicks,
the book deal.
Are what run things. Yeah, book deals, because nowadays it used to be ratings, but now it's more clicks. Did someone click on my thing? That's why we got clickbait titles so much around. But one thing about this quote that really struck me, and maybe it's just because it's Sunday and I had to sit through a sermon today, is...
Which quote? The Gerry Conway one?
What his name was saying was... It really showed, if you will, the caution from, I'll say a man, I have different beliefs about him, but Jesus, when he said, "Judge not, lest you shall be judged." That's often a misunderstood quote, but basically it's like, you judge someone, don't judge lest you be judged. It's a warning. It's not necessarily a commandment, because the measure which you judge, you shall be judged back upon you.
Yeah, like God is going to judge you the same way you judge that person. But
it's also a caution.
In the end, everyone's going to be judged by God. So be careful.
Yeah. Well, and I'm looking at it more. Obviously, I have my personal faith beliefs about it, but it also has wisdom in, if you will, a secular application of wisdom, that what goes around comes around. And if you're going to start pointing fingers, you better be prepared that fingers are going to start being pointed back at you.
Exactly.
And that's very true. And serious funny says accountability my A. Who was held accountable for the lie Saddam was WMDs. That's we're still paying for in money and blood. Hold people accountable for BS, not lies that have led to mass death. And see, this is the thing. Most people won't go near that kind of thing. Most people won't go near the pedophilia. They won't go near the mass murder that's still happening to this day. Things like this just don't. They
get away with it. They get away with it, though. Yeah. That's why every time these discussions come up and people go hard partisan, I try to remind people, when it comes to what they want to support, they vote near unanimously.
Yeah.
Every time in the House and the Senate. They won't fight. They'll pretend to fight, and they're against each other, and they turn us against each other. But when it comes down to what they want, what they care about, international affairs, defense spending, all of these different projects we don't know anything about, interfering with foreign governments, and all this stuff that's actually really serious and that's affecting the globe and costing people their actual lives, we there's nothing. It's silent.
Also, that certain company that filmed movies, they're in active concentration camp. They get away with anything.
Yeah.
Even though they try to cancel other people.
Yeah. I was going to say, good point, Jayne. I think maybe when you look back at the vote for all that WMD stuff back in 2003 or 2002, that was bipartisan, almost 100%. And speaking of lies and people not ever being held accountable and all that, as some things are coming out about what's been happening over this last year with something that rhymes with coronavirus.
Sorry, nobody. That was funny. Just how you just like. Sorry.
Well, you gotta get around it.
I know.
No, but they're talking that some of the stuff that went down could have cost unbelievably amount of lives. That's the wrong word. Innumerable, because not only do you have the people that actually died because of a lot of the stuff that went on, but also the incredible toll on the economy, the incredible toll on the mental health by the actions that were taken that we now know were grade A, B, S. And then God forbid, I mean, it just kills me when you think about the people that actually did take their own lives in despair during this last year. And I'll be willing to bet you $200 million, no one is going to pay the price for that. Not
And
in this world.
what about this other point that people keep forgetting? In the beginning, we didn't know what was happening.
Mm-mm.
Exactly.
Apparently, China was keeping things a secret. We had these outbreaks happening, and our government and all of our state governments were not prepared. All of our PPE was coming from overseas. Explain to me why no one has been held accountable for that, because there will be a time when there is a pandemic or when there is some sort of biological warfare happening that's far worse than anything we've had to deal with in the past 100, 200 years. Are we prepared today?
No.
Is it the case?
Oh.
I mean, why isn't that being addressed? The fact that we had states waiting on PPE from foreign governments that we're not necessarily friends with.
No duh. Yeah, absolutely. I think this was a dry run.
We did have that guy with orange hair, though, that pointed stuff out, but he got called a racist for it.
Well, and to my credit, I've never been the biggest Donald Trump fan ever as a president, but for what he said, for what it's worth, what he said, a lot of stuff made a hell of a lot of sense, and people just didn't.
Yeah, and the angry people are saying what he's saying now, what he said last year.
I know.
Yeah, with
Talk
regard
about
to
irony.
the lab and
Sorry, Nina.
Dr. Fauci thing and everything like that. Sorry, what was that, Christy?
I don't mean to divulge into.
No, it's relevant.
It's very
completely
relevant
because no one wanted to even talk about the connection or blame China at all.
Well,
even though you had doctors who were being put in jail for trying to get information out.
There's
even
doctors
possibly put to
being
death.
canceled over this. Like there was the original 2 doctors that came out and said that this is not, as deadly as everyone, the projections are being shown and everything like that. There's doctors have been canceled over this situation. There has been a lot of people that have been canceled over the situation that should not have been canceled because of partisan politics and people who are playing for a certain side. So, and they're not being held accountable. Like, I think Dr. Fauci should be held accountable for a lot of stuff that he's said and done.
But he didn't get held accountable for what he did with AIDS. He fecked up that too.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that was in the 80s, and he not only didn't get held accountable, he failed upwards. So I don't know.
I'm going to go back to what Teresa said earlier with the mental health with people and how all this pandemic stuff had started. Jayne, pretty much everyone on this panel knows with my situation and everything like that, it has sucked. This past year has fucking sucked. And don't mean to get too political, but you have to be a moron to not see the correlations with some things and with the media and them not talking about it, but talking about it this way or talking about it that way. It gets so frustrating that any normal person can see that. But trying to get that addressed on national media is never, ever, ever happened, ever.
But that's why I say after the first couple of months, I mean, the first few months, people were on the same page because they were scared to death.
Because nobody knew what was going on.
But after that, once they realized it wasn't going to be as deadly, even though that's the weirdest measure ever, it became a situation where the parties decided, we can actually get some votes off of this. And so it became politicized. Every single aspect of it became super political, even though it didn't have to be.
An election year. So, I mean, and then of course there was the whole, what can we do through the mailing system and blah, blah, blah. There's just so much that went with this pandemic. And, I don't think anyone, unfortunately, I think that this world is so dark that I don't think anyone's going to get any consequences, though I'm saying that in one breath, and in another breath, you do see certain things happen. Like, for example, Bill Gates is now being thrown under the bus. Maybe Fauci soon. Certain people have been held accountable and have been thrown under the bus depending on what is going on in the background. Like even Weinstein, like we talked about that with Kamran Pasha in a previous Infinite Talk, where he was saying that Weinstein was basically thrown under the bus by big timers in that industry who, like, it's not like anything like that changed. It's still going. It's still happening. Casting couches are still, prevalent. But for some reason, he was thrown under the bus. Now, for what reason, who, and why, no one knows. So what do you guys think? Do you think like Bill Gates is being canceled for a certain reason now?
Yeah, I think what they're doing is that they have a little hierarchy. So the first tier ones gets thrown under the bus first, and they protect the second tier ones. And if it goes further, the second tier ones gets canceled. I think that's what's going on.
What happened?
That's just my personal opinion. I can't back it up.
Mr. Trickleshonka said, well, he's now getting divorced from his wife, and his wife has claimed that he had ties with Epstein, and there's been a lot of things coming out about him being a sexual predator, that he had affairs with multiple women when he was in charge of Microsoft, and which was one of the reasons that he was told to step down from Microsoft, and all this while his wife was being victimized by him, and even though she was there the whole time. And
exactly. This is why you don't get a divorce too, because everything comes out. But I mean, I think some of them.
How long has his wife known this, though?
That's what I'm saying.
The entire time.
The entire time. She's saying, "Oh yeah, I knew he was friends with Epstein, and I knew that
she was there. She was at the party.
They went to the island together. I'm pretty sure. I don't know, but
oh shit!
Like she wasn't in on it. Are you serious? She absolutely was part of it, and I don't think he's being. I think it's just a matter of convenience, just like with how all of these things are perceived through very political and biased lenses. It doesn't have to be. It just is, because that's the climate that we're in right now, where everything is super political. Everybody has to have a side, and every side has to be antagonistic against the other side. And it's just, it gives me a headache. I mean, it annoys me. And I'm someone who historically has sort of enjoyed politics and enjoyed the gamesmanship of it. But now it's just evil and petty. It's not even fun anymore.
And I just want to address this. Ghosted 620 says, actually starting to take a liking more to this channel, at least on this open debate, seems supported, not getting banned for too biased one way or another. On my channel, open debate is welcome. I encourage all voices, as long as you're respectful to each other. You don't, name call or anything like that. Everything is on the table. You guys can discuss whatever you want, and I don't condone censorship. I'm very open about my beliefs. The only kind of censorships I abide to are the YouTube censorships, and that's a totally different story, because I want to remain having a channel on here. So that's the only thing that we try to
YouTube.
Oh, sorry.
swim
I know,
you gotta navigate certain things, and it's funny because like a couple times I said some things and I was like, oh shit, I shouldn't have said that because of the whole YouTube thing. I'm like even
sorry,
it's the opposite with me though, because I'm like, shit, I should have said that.
Then why don't you ever do that when you're on a stream on my channel?
What? I say everything I want to on your channel.
Yeah, that's true. Because that's everything I want to also.
One more thing about the Epstein thing. I have a problem with these people coming out and saying, "Oh, I knew he was terrible, but I stayed away from him because he creeped me out." You could have, if you knew what he was doing with these minor children and you didn't say anything, you're just as bad. I don't care if you did decide to stay away.
You're worse.
Yeah, I was going to say
you're worse.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Jayne. I'm in a certain situation where I could actually be prosecuted because of my line of work, if I knew of a minor is getting abused and I didn't report it, is that the same for quote unquote civilians too? Because I thought that was the case.
It's not for civilians. There are people in certain fields who are mandatory reporters, but it's not for everyone. It's just for me, from a moral perspective, I think you're just as bad. You can't, in other words, get on your high horse and say, oh, I knew this person was terrible and I stayed away from them, but you never said anything when children are being harmed.
Yeah, that's
not, you can't just stay away. You can't just look away when that's happening and then try to take the high ground later on. No.
I mean, it's funny because that kind of like is a little bit happened in our little tiny, internet community here in the Phantom Menace with the, geeky pixie coming out and being a total.
Oh, it's more
weirdo.
than geeky pixie, girl.
I was gonna say
it's more than geeky pixie. That's for damn sure.
Well, you know what I'm saying though. Like,
I know
there's some stuff going on over there and then certain people came out and were like, yeah, we knew. And I'm just like sitting here going, well, if anyone knew, because I had a feeling it was a dude, but
I did not
not
know it was a dude.
I knew he was a dude. I didn't know about the other stuff that it was accused of. So that's the thing. And so where's the middle ground with that? Because there's a lot of people that I know that they're trans, but they don't want to be like, oh, do you get what I'm saying? Like, to where they don't want to announce it. And so you want to respect your privacy, but like with,
but there's a difference.
I'm just saying.
There's pedophilia.
Here's the thing, though. For me, my perspective on it was I thought this was a girl who's a teenager, who was just being way too adult, and my caution was more to guys that you don't want to be exchanging anything in terms of pictures and what have you with her because she's probably underage. Right.
I thought she was 13.
Me too.
I had no idea this was a dude who had stolen some children's pictures and was passing them. That's a completely different level.
It was more than that.
It's more than that.
The person's Twitter for the last 6 months, some of it was he face apped that girl's face onto underage pornography.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
full-blown pornography right there.
I did not know that.
So to all you simps out there who are listening to this now and in the future, I'm just saying, if you only see where they do the reface app and they're doing from little shows and movies and stuff like that, and you don't ever see any context or what they actually look like, I'm just saying 9 times out of 10 it's probably a guy. And
yeah,
so
it's probably
like, and
or someone with a very interesting or non-interesting real life. And
and
here's a lesson. If it looks like a child, it probably is.
Yeah. Or in this case, a pervert.
For her.
Or if it looks like a duck, acts like a duck, quacks. Whatever the analogy is.
As soon as I saw that shit, I unfollowed and muted.
Me too.
Yeah, me too.
Right?
Well, yeah, no one wants to go to.
Yeah, but
creepy.
even after doing that, the stuff still showed up because the mute button on Twitter does nothing. And I kept, this person liked this and that, right? And it showed up. It kept showing up. And I noticed the people who liked it were the ones that protested the most when the whole thing happened.
Just saying, putting it out there, like, there's a lot of those people who have geeky in their title. I'm just saying, there's more than... There's like I can name 4 right now if I really wanted to.
Well, I mean, there's a new one apparently, like the whole geeky Lizzie one is apparently now catfishing people. Like somebody came out and said that was a dude.
Yeah.
I mean, well, I could have told you that. I mean, that there's nothing resembling a female on that profile whatsoever. And I went through their Instagram, or not Instagram, their TikTok, and the person has like literally taken their face and refaced it on like actual TikTokers, like not even celebrities, because you know how like people reface like celebrities.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Put it on like actual regular people. That's messed up. Like if you're going around, like if I was to go around and take your TikTok, Christy, and then put my face over it and pretend it was my own, that would be really weird.
That's
a
really
really
weird.
weird thing to do.
Well, Maura Jade tried to point it out a while ago.
Oh,
that,
I know
yeah,
she did.
This person is completely fake, and she got her head chewed off.
I don't know. Like with just everyone knows I'm a man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, just so you all know, I am a rose and I have real petals. Okay.
Yes.
I know.
I am a real
talking
woman,
to a
and you
bunch
all
of
know it.
icons. We got a Rose. We got freaking Ewan McGregor. We got
I
Jayne.
know what people look like though. That's the
Yeah.
thing. I don't fucking say anything.
Chrissy's been on camera though, so that's not a
Yeah.
I'm actually Ewan McGregor though.
Yeah, he's telling the
In real
complete
life.
truth.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
And I do believe in.
the upcoming Kenobi show is gonna suck.
You heard it here first, folks, from Obi-Wan Kenobi himself.
Yeah, and
Like,
I'm really a 19th century nun with a
Like
flower.
with
Yeah.
Oh my God.
with that geeky Lizzie stuff, when that shit first came out, I was messaging in the Queen's Council. I was like, "Who the hell is this bitch?"
Yeah.
Over
That's
here.
the one-
But she was
that
so
is the one I
popular,
thought was a
wasn't she?
guy.
She was everywhere.
No,
She was
was just-
everywhere.
Everyone loved her.
I was soft blocking that bitch for months, and she would always refollow me to the point I actually blocked her for blocked the account for 2 weeks to where they finally.
It's very weird that we muted the person, right? Geeky Pixie, and unfollowed and everything, and we kept seeing that porn shit anyway.
Yep.
Yeah.
But the people that were friends with her and followed her, and besties, none of them saw it. Not a single one saw that.
I've been on a
stuff.
stream.
I didn't see it either, though. So I'm wondering if maybe it was certain people, like depending on who you follow.
Oh,
or
well,
something.
that's what I
I've
was
been on
gonna
a
say.
stream with that person. How can you not tell that was a
Yeah.
voice modulator? I'm just saying.
Well,
I didn't say anything because
I was only on one stream with the person, and he was pulling something's wrong with my mic. Oh, so I'm not going to talk.
Yeah.
And it's just like, okay, this person's a weirdo.
And
I got away from that
what I was
situation.
going through
Yeah.
as well. But we're
Away from that
getting a
stream.
little off topic here.
Yeah.
So,
I know.
and we've been going for like 2 hours. So I think we're gonna kind of close it out on this.
I think the moral of the story is too much pixie dust leads to deafness and blindness.
remember, no glove, no love.
What the hell?
What the fuck?
Wait, what?
Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. I wonder where my glove will go.
Oh my God, you guys.
Well, on that note,
What the
Thanks
all
for
right.
having me and Steve on, Nina.
Can you guys
Nina.
believe this shit? Okay. Steve is
oh, you've never heard that one? That's one of
Steve
the
is not allowed back on here. So why don't you tell everyone where they can find you for the last time?
Well, apparently not here. Sporking's channel tomorrow talking about books.
Thanks, Fox. Thank
Game of
you so
Thrones
much for
books,
that.
and on Thursdays on OG Star Wars' channel, we're talking about Star Wars stuff. And leave me alone on Twitter. Get off my lawn. All that.
You don't have your main Twitter account anymore, though.
Oh, it's back because
Why?
people started following the little private one I had and got upset when I didn't follow back.
Gee, thanks, 19K Fox.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
People got
Wait, is that
pissed.
what it really means?
What, the glove thing?
Oh my gosh. I should just give up on humanity. I don't know anything.
You didn't know that, Teresa?
I thought he was like saying some sort of kinky thing about using rubber gloves.
Oh,
What?
God.
I would never do that.
A Viking
Oh my
thing.
God.
Back here live at the Waterfront Village with my friend, the zombie, Jonathan. You're looking good. Jonathan just got an awesome face paint job. What do you think?
I like turtles.
All right.
Turtles.
Well, if you're in Florida, they fly through windshields.
Teresa, what tell everyone where they can find you?
Well, you can find me at Miss Martin Muses, where I talk about what makes me laugh, makes me cry, makes me happy, makes me sad, what really takes me off, and apparently the fact I don't know what a condom is. You can also find me on Twitter, _Martin on Twitter.
Oh my God. I love how this stream is ending.
Like a condom for one finger.
It started out so mature and professional.
I know, right? It's like we couldn't like leave it happen for like 2 hours. Like we were just like after the 2 hour mark, all our immaturity just like came out in full force. Terminus S for $5. Thank you so much. Says Steeg, do you ever let Teresa be DM in your D&D sessions? Because she can certainly spin a yarn, or is she too crotchety to do that? Crotchety?
It's because I crochet.
Oh my god! I was like, what?
I am crotchety though. I'm a very grumpy woman. Leave me alone.
I know she was
It
all
all
grumpy
goes
today in
on.
our group.
Yeah,
And I was like,
grumpy.
Ram, like, what is going on with you? And she's like, my character had her PMS a week ago. Leave her alone.
Hey.
And I was like, whoa.
Characters can get that too.
It's true. We are like a group of 5 women or 4 women.
Well, when you don't know what Dungeons and Dragons are, and Nina is telling me my DM, like, I here in my dumbass is like, excuse me, Steeg, like you say your Steeg is your DM. I'm like, excuse me.
Yeah. I saw that.
Oh wait,
People
what
like, what Steve is Nina in a dungeon?
Yeah,
but
freaking
then
Christy
Nina
thought we had some sort of kinky game going on between us. And I'm
Yeah.
like, dude, it's Dungeons and Dragons, man. Get your mind out of the gutter. She's
And
like,
then that didn't help because when she said Dragon Master, I was like, oh my god.
Hey,
I never said Dragon Master. I said Dungeon Master.
Yeah.
Whatever you said. No, yeah, that's what it was. You said Dungeon Master. And I was like, you're not helping your case, Nina, when you say shit like that.
Get your mind out of the freaking gutter, Christy.
I can't.
It's called-
It lives in the gutter 24/7.
Well, the
I'm
proper
not
name
gonna-
is Red Room if you've read 50 Shades of Grey.
I haven't.
Red Room.
I haven't either, actually.
I've read it. It's 50 Shades of Earl Grey. It's a story about teabagging, right?
Hey, Earl Grey's awesome tea.
Yeah.
Oh my god, 19K Fox is like, what? S&M,
S&M, D&D, DM.
Yeah.
That's my pot.
Every
Just-
Sunday I S&M Nina and others just for, this is what we do.
That's how you spend your Sunday.
Wow.
Yeah.
Just
Nothing wrong
Because
with
I'm
that.
big on cocaine every day. Like when I get off work, cocaine. When I go to sleep, cocaine. When I wake up, cocaine. I'm serious. Guys, look up cocaine.
Nina, you're so wrong for playing that.
He has a stream
Fatal.
coming up, by the way. Fatal J. I think is it going to start soon, or is it started after this?
I don't know.
It might.
I
It
don't
might
know.
be
I
on
can
now,
look real quick.
actually. Let's see.
I can look. I don't know who else is.
Maybe we should raid
Go
his
raid
stream.
Um,
I don't know if it's started. I don't know. They're doing something over there. Maybe it hasn't. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's not on.
I don't see any. I don't see anything. I
No.
don't see anything with Fatal or Demogeny.
Never
I don't see
mind.
Keepers of the Voids. Never mind.
Yeah, never mind. I thought they were doing something because he had tagged me on something tonight. That had to
Remember,
do-
cocaine, just like clout, is a hell of a drug.
Oh gosh.
That's what everyone it says live stream alert tonight, stream Demogeny and Marvel and DC rumors, blah blah blah. Okay, 9:30 Eastern. Okay, so it's in a minute. It's not on yet.
Oh, okay.
What? Mama Bear says they unlisted it. Why?
What?
What?
Did,
It has-
did
it hasn't even-
Demogeny or Fatal say this?
Oh yeah, it says it's unlisted. You're right. What the heck?
Huh.
Why?
Maybe they're talking
boomer.
D&M.
Oh no. They're
Neither.
discussing cocaine. I'm just joking.
White cocaine.
Oh my god.
Nina, it's already over with. It already streamed.
They
We just-
did?
We've been talking forever, Nina.
Damn. It's been wow. Okay. Last but certainly not least, Jayne.
Yeah, you can find me here on YouTube where I post movie and television reviews and occasionally some pop culture commentary. I just dropped a review of A Quiet Place Part 2, so definitely check that out. You can
Ooh.
also follow me on Twitch, Twitter, and Instagram at Jayne Theory.
That is awesome. Just tell me did you like it? Did you hate it for The Quiet Place?
It is not as good as the first one.
It's better than Army of the
Sadly.
Dead.
It is better than Army of the Dead.
I didn't even like the first one, so that means I'm gonna hate this one. Okay, great.
Yeah, you may.
All right. As for me, you can find me on tomorrow on Monday. You can find me on PJ's channel in the afternoon for Dark Matter Mondays, and then you can find me on Midnight's Edge for Toxic Femininity, along with Jayne. Maybe I don't know if you're joining us tomorrow.
We'll see.
And Lorena Creole will be there as well. Other than that, on my channel this Wednesday, again with Lorena Creole and John, we'll be that's our special guest will be Lorena and Fat Stephen for Infinite Talk. And then on Fridays, I cover good news on my channel, so definitely come and hang out here for that as well. Yes, woo, Toxic Femme, woohoo. So yeah, check out everybody in the chat. Everybody, please put your links in the chat, other than Jayne, because that's in the description. I didn't know who was joining us tonight, so I didn't put everybody's in the description.
Ancient One's been putting him out.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you, Ancient One. Thank you so much. And I don't know if you guys want to raid. I think Doomcock is running a show now. So, I mean, they've got like thousands of people watching, but if you want, you can go there and put hashtag Nina Infinity Raid and raid their show. Other than that, thank you so much, everyone, for joining in, and have a great rest of your day. Christy, do you want to tell everyone where they can find you?
I thought I hit it.
What?
What the
I thought
hell?
Nina was gonna end on like I put in the private chat that haha she skipped me. Nice.
I skipped you because you're never around and
I know,
you don't care
but
about anything.
but I thought I'd make it just in time for you to do your outro that you'd see it and you're like, oh no. But yeah, according to Christy, support everybody you can. Thanks for being here. Remember, no glove, no love. Peace.
Oh my God! See that was your
What a
outro.
filling comment.
Oh my God.
Oh my
Well, we're getting love
gosh.
in the chat anyways. Thank you, everybody out there for supporting me tonight, and the super chats, and also just being here, hanging out with us, and having this awesome discussion. I will see you guys next time. Have a great night, day, wherever you are. Thank you.
Bye.
Take care.